Lily was a curious girl with a wild imagination, always eager to explore the nooks and crannies of her old house. It was filled with creaky floorboards, dusty corners, and hidden spaces that sparked her sense of adventure. Each room held stories waiting to be discovered. She spent afternoons searching through forgotten boxes in the attic and peering into dark cupboards, but lately, an unusual chill settled over her explorations. Every night, as she snuggled into bed, strange noises echoed through the walls. At first, she thought it was just the house settling or the wind howling outside. But the sounds grew more distinct, a soft scratching followed by faint whispers that made her heart race. Lily loved mysteries, but these noises sent a shiver down her spine. Curiosity battled with fear as she kept thinking about what could be hiding just out of sight. With each scratch against the wall, she knew she was on the brink of uncovering something eerie lurking beneath her very own roof. Lily's house had a reputation in the small town, filled with whispers of its mysterious past. It was built over a century ago, and many families had come and gone. The most unsettling stories spoke of the Johnson family, who mysteriously vanished one stormy night, leaving their possessions behind as if they had simply disappeared into thin air. Neighbors often claimed to hear laughter echoing from the house long after it was empty. Curiously, each subsequent owner seemed to experience their own strange occurrences. Some reported seeing shadowy figures in windows that were locked tight, while others spoke of feeling cold hands brush against their skin in the dead of night. People began to avoid the place, believing it was haunted by the lost souls of those who once lived there. As Lily learned these tales, the atmosphere of her home shifted from a place of adventure to one shadowed by unease. The legend swirled in her mind as she wondered if those chilling stories were true and if something from the past was still lurking within the walls. Determined to uncover the truth behind the strange noises, Lily felt a surge of excitement mixed with trepidation. The scratching and whispers had been haunting her dreams, so she decided it was time to face her fears head-on. She tiptoed into the kitchen, where the moonlight cast long shadows. Gathering her courage, she grabbed her trusty flashlight and stuffed a few snacks into her pocket, just in case she got hungry during her adventure. With her heart racing, Lily made her way back to her room. She glanced at the dark corners and listened closely for any lingering sounds. With each creak of the house, she reminded herself that this could be an exhilarating quest. The thrill of being a brave explorer filled her mind as she creaked open her bedroom door. As she settled down on the floor near the wall that seemed to be alive with noise, she turned on her flashlight and took a deep breath. "What secrets do you hold?" she whispered, ready to seek answers in the darkness just beyond her reach. As Lily sat near the wall, her heart pounding, she began to notice something alarming. The scratching sounds were no longer just noises, they felt like a message trying to get through. She shone her flashlight along the wall, revealing faint scratches that zigzagged across the surface. With each passing night, they appeared to grow deeper and more pronounced, as if something was desperately trying to escape from within. The whispers grew louder too, echoing in her ears like a haunting melody. They seemed to dance around her, weaving in and out of her thoughts, and each whisper sent chills down her spine. She felt a cold draft sweep through the room, making her shiver as she traced the marks with her fingertips. What could be causing this? Determination surged through her veins. Lily could no longer ignore the signs before her. As she peered closer at the scratches, she wondered if these markings were a clue or a warning about whatever lurked beneath the surface of her home. The next day, as Lily played outside, she noticed her elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, tending to his garden. He had lived in the neighborhood for decades and was known for telling the best stories. Gathering her courage, Lily approached him, hoping he could shed light on the strange happenings in her house. "Mr. Thompson," she began, "do you know anything about the history of my home?" His weathered face turned serious, and he nodded slowly. "Ah, that house has tales of its own," he said, his voice low. "They say there's a creature that lives within its walls, a being that feeds off fear and whispers in the night." Lily's heart raced as Mr. Thompson described the creature's piercing eyes and long claws that scraped against the walls. "Many have heard it but few have seen it," he continued gravely. "Some think it's a lost soul from the Johnson family, trapped and angry." As he spoke, Lily's unease deepened, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something terrifying was indeed lurking just beyond her sight. One night, as the moon cast an eerie glow through her window, Lily lay in bed, trying to shake off her growing fears. The scratching sounds had returned, louder and more frantic than before. But tonight, something else pierced the stillness, a series of soft whispers intertwined with the scratching, like a secret conversation happening just beyond her reach. Lily's heart thumped loudly in her chest as she felt a cold shiver race down her spine. She pulled her blankets tighter around her, convincing herself it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. The stories Mr. Thompson told danced in her mind, making it difficult to breathe. "It's just the wind," she murmured to herself, but the whispers seemed to respond, echoing back with chilling clarity. Swallowing hard, she tried to focus on anything else, the comforting sound of her clock ticking or the familiar creak of the floorboards. Yet the persistent scratching and haunting whispers refused to fade away, leaving Lily torn between diving into the unknown and hiding away from what might be lurking in the dark. Determined to uncover the truth behind the unsettling noises, Lily devised a plan. She rummaged through her closet and found an old camera that had been collecting dust. "This will help me see what's really going on," she thought, excitement mixed with anxiety swirling in her stomach. Setting up the camera in the corner of her room, she angled it towards the wall where the scratching sound seemed loudest. As she connected it to a small monitor, a sense of unease washed over her. She couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was watching her, lurking just out of sight. The idea sent shivers down her spine, but she pushed those thoughts aside, knowing that knowledge was power. With everything in place, she turned off the lights and crawled into bed, straining to hear over the sound of her own heartbeat. The darkness felt heavier that night, as if it were alive with anticipation. As sleep began to take hold, she whispered a silent plea for courage. Whatever was in her walls would soon be revealed. The next morning, Lily woke up with a mix of anticipation and dread. Rushing to her camera, she turned on the monitor, her heart racing as she prepared to review the footage from the night before. The images flickered to life, showing her room in shadowy hues. At first, all seemed normal, but then she noticed movement near the wall. Her breath caught in her throat as she leaned closer, squinting at the screen. Shadowy figures darted just beyond the surface, twisting and writhing as if something was trapped within the walls. They moved in unnatural ways, almost like they were reaching out for her. A sense of horror gripped her as she realized that the whispers she had heard might not have been just her imagination after all. Lily's heart pounded fiercely as she replayed the segment again and again, hoping it was just a trick of the light. But deep down, she knew what she saw was real. Something lived in her walls, and it was watching her closely. Panic began to engulf Lily as she processed what she had seen in the footage. She felt an overwhelming urge to confide in her parents, believing they could help her make sense of everything. Taking a deep breath, she rushed downstairs, her heart pounding in her chest, to find them in the kitchen. "Mom! Dad! You have to listen to me," she exclaimed, her voice trembling. "There's something in the walls. I saw it." Her parents exchanged concerned glances but quickly dismissed her fears. "Honey, it's just your imagination," her mom reassured her gently. "You've been reading too many scary stories." Her dad added with a chuckle, "Just some old house noises, Lily. Nothing more." Lily felt frustration welling up inside. They didn't understand how real it all felt. As they returned to their conversation and left her standing there, she felt more alone than ever. Determined to prove that something sinister was indeed happening, she resolved to confront whatever was lurking in the shadows of her home on her own. Feeling unsupported and alone in her fears, Lily knew she had to take action. The time for hesitation was over, she needed to confront whatever was living in her walls. Gathering her courage, she recalled the stories Mr. Thompson had shared and the chilling images on the camera footage. Each memory fueled her determination. Lily spent the afternoon preparing for her final showdown. She packed a small backpack with essential supplies, a flashlight, some snacks for stamina, and a sturdy pair of gloves, just in case she needed to dig or touch something unexpected. As evening approached, she practiced deep breathing to steady her nerves, repeating to herself that she was brave and capable. When night fell, Lily positioned herself near the wall where the scratching noises were loudest. With her flashlight clutched tightly in her hand, she felt every heartbeat resonate with anticipation and fear. "I'm not afraid of you," she declared softly into the darkness, ready to face whatever awaited her in the shadows. This was it, her moment of truth. As the scratching grew louder, Lily's heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. Her flashlight beam danced across the wall, illuminating the familiar bookshelves that lined her room. It was then that she noticed something odd, a small gap behind one of the shelves that hadn't been there before. Curiosity piqued, she carefully moved the bookshelf aside, revealing a trapdoor hidden behind it. Taking a deep breath, Lily knelt down and pulled on the handle. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, narrow crawl space that seemed to stretch endlessly into the shadows. A rush of cold air poured out, carrying with it a musty smell that hinted at long-buried secrets. With her heart pounding in her chest, she aimed her flashlight into the opening. The beam illuminated old, dusty items scattered inside, forgotten toys, tattered clothing, and strange markings on the walls that suggested someone had once been trapped there. This was it, the moment she'd been waiting for. Whatever lived in her walls was down there, and she was ready to confront it head-on. Stepping cautiously into the crawl space, Lily's flashlight illuminated the dark corners, revealing traces of past residents long forgotten. Dusty toys lay scattered on the ground, their surfaces coated with a thick layer of grime. Broken picture frames hung from the walls, some still containing faded photographs of families who had once lived in her home, their faces eerily smiling as if unaware of the darkness hiding beneath. As she ventured deeper, strange markings began to catch her eye, symbols etched into the wood that looked like desperate pleas for help or warnings against something sinister. Her heart raced when she stumbled upon a frayed piece of fabric that resembled a long-lost shirt, and beside it lay old letters crumpled and yellowed with age. The fear grew palpable as she pieced together the unsettling truth: this crawl space had been a refuge for those who had encountered the same terrifying creature. It dawned on Lily that the creature wasn't just a figment of her imagination, it was part of her home's dark legacy, witnessing generations as they fell victim to its haunting presence. With her heart pounding, Lily took a deep breath and stepped further into the crawl space, feeling a strange pull toward the shadows that loomed in front of her. Suddenly, she heard a low growl echoing through the cramped area, sending a chill down her spine. The creature she had feared for so long was real, and it was right there, hidden in the darkness. As she aimed her flashlight into the gloom, she caught a glimpse of its shape, a twisted form with glowing eyes that pierced through the shadows. Panic surged within her, every instinct told her to run. Yet, another part of her urged caution. What if this creature was not just a monster but something more complicated? "Are you trapped?" Lily called out hesitantly, her voice trembling. She felt a mix of fear and empathy as she remembered the markings on the walls, evidence of past residents who had also faced this being. Standing at that crossroads of fight or flight, Lily knew she had to decide: would she flee from the unknown or attempt to communicate with whatever haunted her home? As Lily stood frozen in the crawl space, she took a deep breath and stepped closer to the creature. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said softly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The creature's glowing eye seemed to soften, reflecting a mix of fear and despair. Slowly, Lily reached out her hand, and to her surprise, it didn't flinch away. With trembling fingers, she traced the markings on the wall, whispering calming words. "You've been trapped for so long, haven't you?" she realized, piecing together the history of its loneliness. In that moment, she understood that the creature was not a monster but a lost soul, misunderstood and longing for freedom. Determined to help, Lily began to clear away the debris that had kept it confined for years. As she worked alongside the creature, an unlikely bond formed between them, a connection built on compassion and understanding. With each passing moment, the air felt lighter, and the creature's growls softened into grateful hums. Together, they would break the chains of its lonely existence and finally find peace. After helping the creature escape its confinement, Lily felt a profound sense of empowerment wash over her. No longer haunted by fear, she had faced the unknown and emerged with a newfound understanding. The once eerie crawl space now felt lighter, filled with the warmth of their shared bond. As she exited the crawl space, Lily noticed how her entire home seemed to transform. The shadows that used to loom ominously now appeared friendly and familiar. The whispers that once frightened her had become a gentle reminder of the creature's grateful hums echoing in the walls. Lily realized that her house was no longer just a place of terror, it had become a sanctuary of friendship and understanding. She walked through each room, feeling safe and secure within its walls. The history of fear was replaced by a legacy of kindness, and Lily knew that she had changed not only her relationship with the creature but also her perspective on her home. It was now a space filled with compassion, where stories of both past and present could coexist peacefully.